YouTube. Hello, everybody. Hello out there in YouTube land. This is the monthly low-carb support group with Dr. Eric Westman in Durham, North Carolina. And we are so happy for everyone who's shown up here tonight in person and anyone who's watching out there. And we are going to just jump right on in. We have a nice big group, and I'd like to introduce Dr. Eric Westman. And he's the tall gentleman to my right. Do you want to say something?
Hello, everybody.
Very good. For those of you who don't know.
Oh, no, that wasn't it.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
Great to see all the new faces, and hope you get your gumption up to come up and say a few words while you're here. It really helps us understand what to talk about, especially. But we're here to help you where you are on your journey. I ask a lot of my patients to come just so they can lead others, tell their stories, and also get fine-tuning on what's going on between their visits, too. But I would say most of the people tonight are not from the clinic.
Okay.
So anyway, it's great to see everybody.
Yeah, and it really is nice to see new faces. And for those of you, everyone is here knows about it. For those of you out in the YouTube's world, the support group is for the low-carb ketogenic lifestyle. Dr. Eric Westman is a world authority, published, so many papers and several books on the topic. He runs a lifestyles clinic from Duke, and also the HEAL clinics, which is a process by which you can get health care to treat diabetes and obesity without medications, which is key. And there's also a non-medical component of it where you can get lifestyle support and coaching and everything else. We'll talk about that a little bit more. But this is for low-carb, ketogenic support, because while, and I'm sure you would say the same thing, well, I guess I don't really know whether you would say this or not.
I'll correct you.
Okay, thank you. While this nutritional protocol, which is keep your carbs below about 20 a day, eat fatty sources of protein, eat only when you're hungry and stop when you're satiated, is simple, it's not necessarily easy. And it's the not easy part that brings everyone here. So that's what we're all about tonight. And with that having been said, I do have one little thing to say first. We are going to bring up a special presentation for you, Dr. Westman. And Terry Farlow is going to come. She's been here before. While you're presenting this, if you give me a second, I'm going to turn on my video camera for the special people in the room.
Okay.
Oh, please.
Wow.
Yes.
This is exciting.
And we're ready to go.
I have a little something for you, and I hope that you'll wear it Friday up at New London, Connecticut.
Keto Fest.
Yes.
New
yes.
London, yeah.
I'll be there in spirit.
Okay. Can I open it
Yes,
now?
open
Is
it now,
that-
please.
Okay, let's see.
Wonder what it is.
I have to be careful what I wish for.
Yes, right. Because now you got to wear it.
Look, a bacon shirt. Thank you so much. Now, you have other bacon wear.
Yes, yes. I'm going to have a whole line of bacon wear.
Okay.
For those of you who don't know, Terry's been coming to the last couple of meetings, and she was wearing a bacon t-shirt. She's a wonderful seamstress, and she sews the shirts herself, and she has these special fabrics. And it was a bacon t-shirt, not made out of bacon, but made out of fabric that is printed with bacon. Then the next month it was avocados. She was thinking of fried eggs the next time. So this one is for Dr. Westman, and they reference Keto Fest, which is in New London, Connecticut, later this week, which is a first-time ever event, correct?
That's right. The whole town going keto. Two keto dudes could pull on, right? Has anyone heard of the two keto dudes? Just about everyone here. Wow. And so the brilliant thing they did is they did a Kickstarter to raise money. Did anyone put in money to the, well, just me. Molly too. But so it was brilliant, and someone might replicate that down here, hint, hint, where people put up $40,000 ahead of the meeting so that they wouldn't lose money on the first time they did the conference. So I understand there will be a HEAL event.
There
on
will be
Friday
a HEAL
afternoon.
event, as I understand, a presentation, and then I guess food trucks or vendors selling keto-friendly foods and everything else.
That's so Saturday. My understanding is Saturday is going to be just a lot of fun. They're going to be low-carb eating, low-carb baconware, and rumor has it that the Carl Franklin's band will play at some point. He's actually in a really good band. And then Science Sunday is where I guess I'll start geeking things up a bit. But there's actually a series of lectures given on Sunday that's more scientific as well. But that's Keto Fest in New London, Connecticut.
This week. And
Anyone going?
If only.
Spirit.
Wish I could go. Okay.
Thank you.
All the
Bye.
presentations and honors, the major awards having been taken care of. Fragile. Without anyone coming up yet, how many people are here for the first time? Wow. That is super duper awesome. That is really great. Now, our practice, absolutely. Our practice is to invite those who wish to share to come up and tell us how you got here, why you're here. You certainly do not need to, no pressure, and if you don't want to be on camera, I can tilt the camera if you want to share but not be seen on camera. That's cool as well. Would anyone like to share? No. Okay, very good. Come on up, sister girls. Come on down. And I'm going to step, just grab it.
Hi, my name is Kim. I'm 6 weeks keto today with intermittent fasting, and I have PCOS, severe insulin resistance, and metabolic syndrome. I have tried everything, every diet known to man. I have worked out CrossFit. I've worked out 2 hours a day for years. I've taken belly shots for months, and I've never lost more than 5 or 6 pounds unless I was pregnant. For about 20 some odd years now. I have lost 35 pounds in my first 6 weeks on keto, which I am shocked. And I wake up every morning terrified that I'm going to wake up and it's a dream still. But I feel better than I've ever felt in at least the last 20 years. I'm absolutely shocked, and it's the easiest life change I've ever made in my life. So it has been world-changing so far for me, and I hope it keeps going.
Fantastic. Any questions? You have all these advisors and experts?
Right now, I'm doing really, really good. I'm just learning the new cooking. I think that's the biggest change that I'm trying to learn so that I can cook for my whole family, because I have 4 kids too, and try to switch everybody a little bit over is a little bit of a challenge.
Any ideas for family?
Little kids too, little kids.
I cook the same thing for my whole family. I do a meat that I can eat, a veggie I can eat, and then if they're missing something, I'll add a side for them.
Yeah.
But that way I'm not cooking like 2 separate meals. Like if we do hamburgers one night, mine's without a bun. They can have a bun if they want, until I get them totally off of it.
Right.
But my son's lost 30 pounds, not even trying.
Right.
So just
my oldest is 11. I have 2 toddlers. So the older kids are no big deal. I feed them whatever. And one of the toddlers is no big deal. One of my toddlers is autistic, so getting him to eat anything at all is a challenge. So getting him to eat something different is a really big problem.
my daughters eat, and she prefers the real food over the processed food. So eventually they won't miss the processed food.
Yeah, our processed is all out of the house. So I'm hoping that eventually they just get hungry enough and they'll just eat.
There's a keto kids group that deals a lot. I'm part of it.
Is it online or is it a Facebook group?
And they have a lot of autistic kids, and there's a lot of special challenges with texture and
Yeah.
things. So join. Because
Okay.
They constantly have lots of discussions about how we help women,
Yeah.
what are y'all doing for your autistic kids? And
He's the biggest challenge. The other ones aren't, but yeah, he's the textures and the
So it's a Facebook group called Keto Kids.
Yeah, I'll text it to myself right
Thank
now.
you.
Thank you.
Great. Well, thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
Keep it up. Of course, the study we published on polycystic ovary syndrome is now about 10 years old. And so there's a research publication showing this approach will help PCOS, fatty liver, all diabetes, heartburn, irritable bowel syndrome, and diabetes and obesity and hypertension. So anyway, the list goes on. Next new person. Now that the ice has been broken.
I'll do it. Thank you. I am Jennifer Ellison, and I'm from Houston, but I grew up in High Point, so I happen to be here and able to come. So it's great to meet Casey and Dr. Westman. Nice to meet you. So besides the fact that I'm overweight, I'm generally healthy. All my blood panels are really good, but I know it's not going to stay that way because there's type 2 diabetes and a lot of issues in my family. So I know I have to make some changes. I've been on medical supervised ketosis, that's the shakes, the 800 calories, and it works really well until you lose weight and you go to the nutritionist and they put you back on the standard American diet, where you start eating the carbs and you don't lose weight, and it's very frustrating. So I've been doing this low-carb keto since April. I lost about 10 pounds, and that's very frustrating to me that it's not faster. But I know, I'm a Casey subscriber. I know I have to be patient with it. But that's frustrating to me. So any advice on that would be great. Yes, ma'am.
My weight loss was slow. When I first started, they were saying, "Oh, don't be surprised if you lose a lot of weight real fast." You know, it was like 5 pounds for the first couple of months.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the further I kept doing it, it just kept coming off. And kept coming. So it wasn't fast, but it was steady. So now I'm down 50 pounds. And feel better than I have in years. You know, all my diabetes meds. I was on maximum great. It was frustrating at first. You just hang in there, and it'll be slow to come off, but it'll keep coming off.
So I think my number 1 goal is weight loss, and my number 2 goal is to age in good health, physical health and mental health. Since the glucose is shown to be related to other dementia and things like that, I have that in my family, and Alzheimer's and type 2 diabetes, and I don't have children. I need to make sure that I age gracefully and in health so I can have a good range of motion and take care of myself for as long as possible. And those are kind of my goals in doing the diet. So I'm off to a good start. It's such a great community. It's working out. And it's an easy diet to stay on, which is great. Yes, ma'am.
I've been with Dr. Westman now 10 years. I lost a lot of weight, but I have a lot to do. I weigh 115 pounds. I'm just high of being 150 pounds.
Wow.
And I just got one of the fastest where I was in 1989, which 32 years. That was me.
I want to come see it, the picture. But thank you.
It's one that
Thank you.
The volume is really just for this. We had a PA system. They offered for us to not use that anymore. May I put it that way? Apparently, the common questions about constipation and irritable bowel syndrome were putting off the bar patrons.
Yeah, it was lowering business, I guess.
It was good going in the wrong direction as far as that goes. So this is really.
We just have to speak up louder.
We have to speak more loudly, which is something no one has ever asked me to do, but I am happy to do it. So for those of you who were just hearing, it's Doris, correct? Has been with Dr. Westman for 10 years, and you've lost just shy of 150 pounds. And you shared that it was slow. You know, and I have my take on this, and this is not about me, but it occurred to me because I hear a lot of people say, why is everyone else losing so fast and I'm losing so slowly? And it occurred to me that there are certain portions of the population that can always do things that appear more easy than the rest of us. Some people can eat jelly donuts and drink Mountain Dew and nothing ever bad happens to them ever. They don't gain weight, they don't have bad numbers, they're just a percentage of the population. And my analogy is a percentage of the population has perfect pitch, which I always wished I'd had, but I'm trained as a musician, I don't have it. There's a certain portion of the population when they get onto a low-carb ketogenic diet lose very quickly. But I don't think that's necessarily normal. I think the rest of us are normal. they're just the freaks. You know, I used to call myself a slow loser. And I was doing that up until about a week ago. And I decided, wait a minute, I'm not a normal loser. I was not a slow loser. It's taken me over 3 years to lose 97.4 pounds. But in the last 12 months, I've lost 12 pounds, which is probably normal at my stature, my age, my rate of weight loss, and everything else. I'd like to lose a few more. If I do, great. If I don't, well. But I think we should stop telling ourselves, I'm a slow loser. You're a loser. I mean, if you're a loser, you're a winner. Right? I mean,
say that again. I'm confused.
Yeah, that happens so often with him. I can't tell you what a struggle it is to get through an entire paragraph.
I need things simple.
Yes, simple. Yes, ma'am. Dr. Westman, to let you know, Dr. Westman is broadcasting this on Periscope, but he just got a phone call which stopped the broadcast. Hopefully it's not an emergency. But anyway, so that was my little thing. Would anyone else like to jump? Yes, ma'am. I'm going to turn the camera because this beautiful participant prefers not to be on camera. So there's me, but you're missing the beautiful woman.
Hi, my name is AC, and I've just been exploring ketogenic, low carb, high fat, intermittent fasting lifestyle for about a little under 2 months, and I started a meetup group called Low Carb, High Fat, Keto, and Intermittent Fasting. So I would invite all of you guys in the Raleigh area, if you're interested, to join, because I had trouble finding my tribe. You know, none of my family members, none of my friends had any awareness or understanding of this. And I was so tired of explaining it. And I wanted my tribe that sort of got what I was trying to do when we go to a restaurant and we turn down the bread and we don't have to explain to anybody. So it's a relatively new meetup. Some of our members are here. And that's actually how I found out about Dr. Westman. But feel free to look us up. And then we also have a private Facebook page attached to that so we can talk about personal things and not worry about it being public. So you're all welcome to sort of participate in that. And one of the questions, Dr. Westman, and anybody that a lot of my members have issues with is they cannot find a primary care or endocrinologist that supports the ketogenic, eating, the way of eating. So if you guys have any resources that we could use, I don't know if you have a list on your website or anything, Dr. Westman, of doctors that are sympathetic to you and what we're doing, that's what we would really appreciate. Thank you.
Thank you, AC. And of course, Jimmy Moore does have a list on his website of doctors in various states. And of course, there's Dr. Eric Westman. And if you can't get in to see him through Duke, there's the Heal Clinic, which is, it's a different level, but obviously he's sympathetic. But that is something that I know, I would say the majority of people in this room, because when you were saying that, AC, everyone was nodding their heads. And it's more unusual to come up with a medical provider who says, oh, that sounds great. Or even is open and minded enough to say, I don't care what you're doing, it's working, keep it up. Because that at least shows a little bit of open-mindedness. And we probably have all heard of or possibly experienced medical providers who say, well, if you continue to do this, I can't support this. Many providers are very risk averse, and that's a whole other conversation. But do you have a recommendation if you're really trying to get good medical care and you're conscientious about it, and you go in and you feel like you have good information to share, is there a way to communicate with your provider that will maybe make it easier for them to listen to you?
Well, of course, it depends on the doctor, right? So it depends how well you know the doctor. The easiest way, if you're just eating this way and you want to eat this way, and the doctor asks what you're doing, just say you're doing the Mediterranean diet. Just say you're doing the Mediterranean diet.
Did you not tell them that was a joke?
Because, well, it's not really a joke, because it is the Mediterranean diet. You see, the doctors all know the Mediterranean diet is great, but they don't know what it is. So it puts them in oh, well, okay, keep doing that. Because you probably know more than the doctor does about nutrition at this point, if you get this kind of training. So that aside, so you're doing a modified Mediterranean diet. That works pretty well. The other thing, in my area, now after 10 years of clinical care in a medical system within Duke, there are 10 doctors that I know who are various types of doctors, cardiologists, general medicine doctors. I will make referrals based on who I know in the area, and it's because we've shared patients that they now are open to it. It's not that they went to a conference and they learned about it, or it's, so the first patient comes through, oh, Dr. Westman's patient, oh, 150 pounds, whoa, lightning strikes. And then, 6 months goes by, oh, another patient off insulin, who's your patient? Dr. Westman's patient, oh, I kind of remember somebody before, it's been 6 months. So then the third patient comes in, lost 80 pounds, who are, Dr. Westman, oh, wow, I'm sending all my patients to Dr. Westman. So now there's a 4 to 6 month waiting list to get in to see me. I wish the doctors would say, gosh, I wish I could learn how to do what Dr. Westman did. So because there isn't much traction or much interest, we're creating our own company to teach people how to do it. So that's the HEAL clinics. So soon there'll be HEAL clinic doctors all over who will be the ones to refer to.
Now, will they take, because there's functional medicine doctors, but often they don't take health insurance, blood, any kind of initial blood work has to be out of pocket. Is HEAL within the medical system?
So there are functional medicine and other types of doctors. Is keto within the medical system? No, basically not. So no, but the HEAL clinics is a whole new company that's training other doctors to do it. And that's my company. But short of that, the Jimmy Moore's website, the Low Carb Friendly Doctors is a good one. Also, the Obesity Medicine Association website. I was the president, I'm now past president of the Obesity Medicine Association. We teach other doctors how to do this within that organization. There aren't many in our area who understand it, but nationally, if you go to the Obesity Medicine Association, go to the patient section, find a clinician. I know it's kind of, so it's obesity medicine, patient, find a clinician. You type in your zip code, your state or your town, and it'll bring up an obesity medicine doctor in your area. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean they know about keto, but they're highly more likely to know about it, or at least be supportive. And they'll know how to get you off medication just because of the weight coming down. That's something a lot of doctors don't understand either. So even if they might understand the diet itself, they might not know how to safely get you off the medication. So we're in that timing where not a lot of doctors know about it. But I'd say compared to 10 years ago, there are no doctors coming out against it. So there's a big change in the scientific understanding and the penetration of keto and low carb in the pop culture that I don't see people coming out against. I mean, there's some radical few who will always be against it, but in general, doctors are supportive.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. I'm halfway through the 6 month wait.
Do you want to come up and?
Yes.
Are you
please?
cool being on the? Come on, be a star.
Why not?
Why not?
Stand right up.
My name is Dorothy Russell. I drove up from the Charlotte area this evening, and my appointment with you will be towards the end of October, but it's only half as long as it has been. And my question is, while I'm waiting for the appointment, should I go ahead and modify the way I'm eating, or should I wait to see you?
Okay, so if you do have an appointment, here's a little secret for you. You can call on Mondays. Don't do this too much because you'll swamp the call center, but call on Mondays to ask for a cancellation for that week. And so if your scheduling is flexible, you can often get an early appointment because people will cancel at the last minute or the last day. Whether you should start before coming to the clinic is it's a decision. A lot of people will do this and not even come see me, right? So a lot of people will read a book. They'll do it without any support. So the system is pretty simple. Low carb in general is so so strong that you can learn how to do it on your own. The only concern I have if you're doing it on your own is if you're on medications, that the medications might become too strong.
Right.
So especially if you're on diabetes and high blood pressure medicine, I think it's important to be monitored by someone, unless you're a nurse and you know all about the medicine, or you know, I'm a pharmacist, and although if someone says I'm a doctor, I say, well, doctors make the worst patients. Have you ever heard that before? It's in the doctor world anyway. But are you on any medications that I would worry about? Lots.
Right. Okay, well, I'll try them when you call.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Dot.
Thank you.
I'll also say from me, your brochure, the booklet that's on you can get from Amazon was actually very helpful as well. It covers, I think, a lot of the ground, just with the basics.
Page 4.
Yeah. So there's been sort of a transition of the booklet. In fact, my dad looked at it and said, $400 for the booklet. What are you doing? What a scam, So there's an artificial shortage on the booklet because it's no longer available as a new book. Yeah, the purple or even the red book is phased out. So this is what's called the freemium. So you can go to the website, the Heal Clinic's website. You can go to adaptyourlife.com. You can watch the old video I did in the white coat and all that. Those are called the free things, and it's going to help a lot of people. And what the decision I finally made was to bring that ADAPT book or the manual, the purple book, the red book, the page 4, into the Heal Care system. So that my dream clinic was to have the support of the psychology support, the stuff I can't give between visits, and that's really what Heal Clinics does. And so then I thought, well, do I allow the books to be out there or not? And at least for now, the book can be obtained through the Heal Clinics and is not readily available out there unless you're selling yours on eBay for $300. But no. So anyway, that just wanted to explain. A lot of people ask what happened to it, and it's because we're transitioning into a better program. It's not that this isn't available elsewhere. Although other people have said they found a page 4 with berries on it. And we explained that,
I do not know
that's
what
okay.
you are talking about.
And then so I finally went to Pinterest. Oh my God, there's 20 page 4s. So this is all kind of let the buyer beware at the moment. But in general, the page 4 has helped a lot of people, and is a great guide.
It helped me.
Yeah.
And so you all know I'm not a patient of Dr. Westman's. I was simply a stalker of Dr. Westman's after seeing the white coat video. And I bet you a lot of people got started or were impacted. Circles back to, this is a simple program, but that doesn't mean it's easy.
Well, it can be easy.
It can't. Well, here's my take on it. And I don't know, maybe you've been overweight before in your life or you had medical issues, I don't know. But those of us who have struggled with weight over our lives, it's often so much more than the food. Now, the health benefits of the anti-inflammatory properties, the reduction of A1C, lowered triglycerides and increased HDL, that's physiological. So if someone stuck you in a metabolic ward and fed you this food and controlled it, these things would happen. These benefits would happen. And if that's all it took, then great. But there's more. If it wasn't more than that, we would not be at capacity tonight.
I wouldn't have a job.
You wouldn't have a job. We are going to assume everyone's okay there in the background. That's someone who just found out how many carbs there are actually in a plate of broccoli. Because there are a lot, by the way. But it's not easy. And so you need support. And get the support where you can. Sometimes you need to pay for it, and it's worthwhile. And I've had many people approach me and say, I can't tell you how many dollars I spent on Weight Watchers over the last 15 years. Oh, Doris is going to have a coronary. She said, oh my God, Weight Watchers. Sorry, I should have had a trigger alert before I said that. Not that Weight Watchers is not great. But sometimes you need the structure of actual support. Sometimes you need to see other people that look like you. Sometimes you need to see people who used to look like you. Sometimes you need to see people your age bracket, your gender. You're a bodybuilder, you're not a bodybuilder. You're a sedentary person, you're a person who's wheelchair bound. Sometimes you need to see that and connect with those people. So this is all a long-winded way of saying you can find the food list. Let's just say what the food list is. It's fatty sources of protein, some good fats like olive oil, avocado, et cetera, apparently no berries, and non-starchy vegetables, which you all lay out in the white coat video. If you want to take time to transcribe it, that's what it is. And for myself, I'm not a patient. It came quickly to me, not because I'm anything other than a person who was so miserable on that day that anything that happened would look like up to me. So that's why it was easier for me this time. I knew that this would work for me back in 1976 when I read Dr. Atkins' New Revolution, whatever. New Diet Revolution. I knew it worked. I lost 13 pounds in college. Woohoo, I'm good. Totally stopped it. Knew it worked in 2001 when I did it, lost a bunch of weight, had something happen emotionally, and decided to medicate with tequila and mashed potatoes. They're not really keto. The mashed potatoes.
Yes.
Sadly, the mashed potatoes are not keto. I knew it worked, but you have to be where you can hear it. And if you're not the place where you can do it by yourself, reach out for help. Again, go to a heal clinic, heal care, get the moral support, start a meetup, find your tribe. It's hard to find people that don't roll your eyes, although that's getting less and less frequent, I think. It's less and less frequent. You say, oh, you're doing that low carb thing. Yes, indeed I am. So, and own it. Okay, I'm sorry, Dr. Long. Is there anyone else who would like to come up and share a story? Yes, sir? Okay, I'm gonna have to adjust, I'm gonna have to push the camera way back. Oh God, you're gonna have to slew. Okay, let me see, let's try this. There we go, let's try this.
All right. Hello, my name's Thorne, and I've been sort of scaling back my carbs slowly, hoping that when I got to under 20 or under, that the process would be easier, and I'm on day 3, and I feel horrible. Like, I just want to kill everybody. So,
Dr. Westman slowly walks away.
With kindness, with love. No, it's just been like, I just want to sleep. I just don't want to do anything. And my question is, during this period of time, during this transition, what recommendations would you all have to hopefully make it so I can work? That I actually want to eat food rather than trying to. Because right now I just
Salt.
Yeah.
Sodium.
Lots of water.
Sodium.
Well, but first, do you have high blood pressure? Or are you on medication?
I'm on medication for type 2 diabetes,
No,
but not for blood pressure.
Okay, so then salt. Then salt.
Salt.
No, do you have a history of heart failure?
No.
Okay. Then salt. Just because those conditions can be worsened by adding salt. That's why all your doctors and dietitians tell you not to have salt. But if you don't have those things, you need salt as you transition. So you're on some diabetes medicine too?
Yes, I'm on triglyceride.
Yes.
Now, I will say that since I have been lowering my numbers, and even I'm now under 20, I'm at 20, my numbers for my glucose have gotten worlds better. I mean, as they've gone down.
Number?
Well, it was 99 today.
Yeah, so stop your medicine. For heaven's sake.
Well, I'm supposed to go in a week.
It is too late.
Yeah.
So you can do this on your own, but we know a few things about medicine, and so a couple of comments, and even before the medication. Have you ever heard about cold turkey for quitting smoking? You quit. It's an addictive drug. You cut it all out all on one day. Because if you don't, then you have this kind of lingering, I know exactly what you're saying. So when you said that you're lowering the carbs gradually, first thing I thought is, no, try it again. Cut out all of the carbs, 20 grams, one day. and it'll be actually easier.
Now you're talking.
Yeah, I know. Well, but your appointment's not till October. No, sorry. I know it's a hard problem to solve. But so the first thing, you want to cut all the carbs on the same day. Add back the salt, 2 cubes of bouillon, minimum, a couple times a day to minimize your chance of keto flu. So let's assume this is keto flu, or withdrawal, or transition from carb burning to fat burning. It's all the same description of what's going on. We think it's because of the fluid shifts. And have you noticed that you urinate a lot?
Yes.
Yeah. So is it okay if I ask you? So often there's the urge to get rid of the salt and water that you've been holding on to too long, and so carbs make you hold on to salt and water. You get rid of the carbs, salt and water goes. Adding some bouillon back will minimize your symptoms. And then the last thing I'd say is that there's an urban legend that I don't know if it's true, that the worse the keto flu, the better you'll do in the long run. Much like the people who have a real easy time quitting smoking or quitting alcohol are often the ones who go back because they say, oh, there's no trouble quitting. But now if it's a struggle to get through it, then you're going to be less likely to want to go through it again. Does that make sense?
I'm going to do fantastic then.
So now let's get to the diabetes. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So when the blood sugars start going like this, you're going to feel bad. Okay. Doesn't matter what the numbers are. But when the blood sugars fluctuate, it makes you feel bad. So now what happened is you were probably eating 200 grams of carbs per day. You're now down to 30 or 40. Your medicine was adjusted to the carbohydrate you were eating. So if you don't adjust down your medicine with the carbs, you can get low blood sugars. And that makes you really feel bad. It can even lead you to pass out, and it can be life-threatening, which is why if someone's in the hundreds when they start the program, I'll just stop or cut way down on the medication. So I'll cut insulin in half, so it kind of depends what medicine you're on. The Trulicity is an injectable.
It is
once a week, and so it's going to hang around a while. And that's when the blood sugars are 80s and 90s, you don't want to take any medicine for the blood sugar. Okay. So what I'll do is instruct people to always check before you take the medicine. And if the medicines are under 100, don't take the medicine for diabetes. If the blood sugars are under 100, don't take the medicine for diabetes.
Okay.
So, and this can happen in 2 days. It can happen in 1 day. So to say, well, I'll go back to my doctor next month, or I know you said 1 week, but often
and I absolutely noticed. I took it this morning, and I actually felt okay, and I took it, and then I had meetings this afternoon, and I just was like nodding off.
What was the blood sugar this morning?
Yeah.
What was it?
It was 99.
99.
Yeah, and
And when did you take the medicine?
About 2 hours later.
Oh, the
Trulicity,
the week-long shot is now working.
Well,
the next week.
Right. So, it is. Well, I was in the mid to high 200s when I started taking the medication.
Well, that's a guess. That's when you were eating carbs.
Yes.
So now you may need to just be mindful that your blood sugar medicine is still there for the next week.
Right.
And so you may need to eat more carbs. So this is too complicated. If you came to me, if you were in the hundreds, I would say cut all the carbs and cut that medicine off today. But now you may not be able to do that because it sounds like you understand what's going on.
Until next week.
Yeah. So that you may have to eat carbs to keep the blood sugar up while you're on the blood sugar medicine. But you can see how this is kind of complicated.
Yeah.
It's your grandma, your mom, if someone doesn't really understand diabetes.
Veggie's not a Snickers bar.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah,
low.
no, that's the way I would, yeah.
So I still rescue, I have people with diabetes rescue with a swig of orange juice or 1 or 2. So if you think the blood sugar is low, you can still have a little bit of sugar. But, so it's complicated. I don't know. Well, this is the other thing. When there's medicines and the diet change, you never really know. No, everyone blames the diet for the problem. And yet it's usually the medication that's the problem. There's even a new diabetes medicine that makes the urine leak sugar. Were you on that one by any chance? That's the brand name, but it's a the glucosins, the ones on TV that say you can actually get ketoacidosis from. Stay away from those medicines, especially if you're doing a low carb diet. These are diabetes medicines that make the urine leak glucose, and so those can be dramatically causing ketoacidosis in people without even the blood sugar being high. So doctors won't even be able to suspect it. So anyway.
Can I ask one other question actually to the group and to you? It was recommended to me to start taking a product called Keto Force, which is, it's ketones. It's, what the word is that?
Exogenous.
Thank you. And I was curious what people's...
Does anyone have an opinion on drinking ketone?
No,
Yes.
if you drink them, you're not gonna make them yourself.
Okay.
That's the easy answer is if you're drinking ketones and they raise your ketone level, well, you just got calories from drinking ketones. And that means you're not going to use it.
Oh,
It's expensive.
Urine.
Expensive urine. Well, now there is a possibility, and some people say it helps jumpstart and all this. I haven't seen a study yet. And that's been a little disappointing with the companies that have come out with these products. We've been out over a year or 18 months, and I don't see anyone doing those studies, but I hope those will be done. Then we'll be able to guide with better confidence whether you shouldn't or should. I don't recommend them currently until we have some studies, or even if 10 people said, I did low carb without them, couldn't do it. I did low carb and I added exogenous ketones, and here are all my results. And I mean, I'll start paying attention to people's results and research, but until then.
My friend compared it to drinking jet fuel, so if I can avoid it,
Well,
yeah.
Well, but ketones are super fuels. I think that's what they didn't mean it in a bad way. It was a good way.
Oh no, it's the taste.
Oh.
Yeah.
You see, I haven't even tasted them.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, thank you very
Thanks
much.
for coming up and talking about diabetes, and hope you feel better.
Thank you.
That was really good. And by the way, I wish you had shared your actual name and not your gamer name, because Thor is just an awesome name.
It's Thorin. It's from The Hobbit. So. It is my
It's
actual name.
Thorin. I love it. You look nothing like a hobbit.
Well, it's King of the Dwarves, actually.
It's an ironic name.
Yeah, it's not what they meant it to be.
Okay, coolio. Anybody else, a newbie that would like to come up and share? Yes, ma'am. Come on down. She is approaching trepidatiously. Hello.
My name is Ebony. I'm here from Knightdale, North Carolina. I'm rushing, I'm kind of in full speech right now. So I'm here for support. I have two daughters. One is 5, one is 11. The 11-year-old she's taller than me. She's 5'6", but she is very overweight. And so I want to be an example to her as well as help her. So that's what I'm here.
Okay. So we've already talked about some kids on keto, and she's how old?
She's 11.
She's 11, and she's very overweight. And Dr. Westman can possibly answer this. Is there any reason that you know of that a child, no matter the age, cannot follow the ketogenic diet? And if there's no reason that health-wise a child should not be on the ketogenic diet, is there a reason that you either think you would have difficulty convincing her to follow this, or you have concerns about doing it?
Well, for me personally, my biggest problem is I don't have willpower. That's what I've learned about myself. For her, it's about she wants to eat normal and have the normal food come at summer camp at lunchtime and at school at lunch. She wants her food that looks like everybody else. And it's kind of hard for her to wrap her brain around the fact that, the food you're eating may look like everybody else, but it's hurting you.
So
Was there a medical reason? I'm sorry, I stepped away.
that's okay. No, she was just sharing that her children, particularly her 11-year-old daughter, is very overweight. And that's her main motivation for coming. So my question is there a reason that an 11-year-old child cannot follow this? Because there might be those that say, oh, well, children need carbs to build their brains or their bones or their
They need protein for the bones and fat for the brain.
Period.
So yeah, this is healthy eating for anyone. In fact, babies are born in ketosis. Supposed to be,
And breast milk is.
And then we feed carbs and turns off the ketones. Is that interesting?
That is very interesting.
It's okay for anyone to eat a low carb keto diet, and I guess the other thing that's not fair is that kids can often eat more carbs and still lose weight. So you may not have to be at a keto level in order for your child to lose weight.
Because they're growing up this way, which is burning energy.
Yeah.
And so for now, it looks like they're okay until they hit whatever age where that kind of, stops working for them. So it's almost a false thing to, your kids can eat anything. They're in the garbage can phase. They just eat. They're growing taller. They're putting on muscle and bone and mass and all this other stuff. So they're grabbing calories from anywhere they can until it's not good for them.
Well, but so when you think about where the food comes from, what food your child is eating, it's that insulin signal that makes the fat store. It makes your body make and store fat. So if you're eating just foods that raise insulin, then the calories going in aren't going to be making protein, which you need to grow. The calories coming in are going to be made into fat. And so you can lower the carbs and have your body still grow. The child still grows. An analogy I'll pull out is, baby lions grow, and they don't eat carbs, right? And how often do they eat?
Maybe I heard somebody say sometimes once a week,
yeah,
maybe on the savannah. Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. So actually that was supposed to, you're not supposed to know that by now, but anyway, so many new people. Yeah, I was surprised to learn in a trip to South Africa, that in talking to a researcher in Botswana, that lions eat once a week. So people come back to me and say, "Oh, but I have to eat every day, 3 hours or 5 hours, every 5 hours, every 5 times." Are you crazy? That's only because that's your habit that's happened to you all your life, and I know that's hard to break. It physiologically makes no sense. But back to the kids. So you might be a little strategic about it, right? Cutting out the low-hanging fruit, pun intended, meaning the high sugar items. So there's no need for anyone to drink sugar. I mean, this is just not good, even though it tastes good and all that. And now you have diet sodas that can actually mimic the taste of the real sugary sodas. So, are there any things that you might target for your child that needs to lose? Or actually, what you want to do is turn that fat energy into the growth energy, so that he or she's using her own body fat. Is your child drinking sweet tea or?
Well, no, we mostly drink water. We do crystallize it with a little flavored water packets. I'm not sure if.
What I'm hearing though, and I'm hearing this as a mother, and I'm hearing this as someone who had to make some changes. I heard two things in what you said. You have some thoughts about your own process.
Yes.
That have nothing to do with your 11-year-old.
Yes.
And then your 11-year-old who was confronted at an early age with what we're all confronted with, which is the people around us can be really hard. It can be really difficult. If it is difficult for a middle-aged, yes, I'm middle-aged, I'm 59, year-old person to make decisions on my food choices. Well, it's not difficult anymore because I've gotten ornery about it, but it can be difficult for us to wave off those decisions that those around us make. And wave off the, I know they make, I know.
He brings in the Oreos. And
oh, geez. And so here's your child, even if you're making the best decisions in your house, she has to find the tools to make the decisions when her peers are eating the pizza and the Taco Bell and the Oreos and the Chips Ahoy and everything's a carb. And that is the struggle. But what I heard was that maybe it maybe needs to start with you because you are your child's most important role model. And you're a strong person and you can do this. And she may not recognize it at 11. She might recognize it at 12. She might definitely recognize it at 13, 14, 15, 16, that her mother became a really strong person and ignored the eye rolls. And you do have the willpower. It's not a matter of willpower. Your brain is telling you to eat something you don't need to eat. And once you can get past the keto flu, where did Thor go? Okay, once you get past your brain telling you that I must eat some more. I mean, do we not have this? It's your brain saying, I must eat more cheese puffs.
I have the willpower, but it's the want power that's big.
Well, and the comment was, we all have the willpower, but the want power. But, you know, but it's difficult when your brain really, when you're a glucose burner, is telling you, when your body's telling you one thing. And it's difficult to overcome. If you can get through that burn-in period, you yourself, because you are your child's most important role model. And your child will eventually, well, they might abandon what you're deciding, but at least you've done the best. But I think, personally, it's harder for young people to do this than for older. Yes, ma'am.
My advice, I just turned myself in January. Don't make it optional. You're the mom. It's not optional. This is how you're going to eat. You have a very small window and a very unique time right now where you control everything. That won't last. Don't make it optional. Don't allow it to be an option. I didn't, and my son is down a lot of weight and so much happier. He was not on board when we started. It was not an option. I buy the food, I pay for the food, I make the food, this is the food you're going to eat. Yes, he's of driving age, he has my credit card, he can go to the store, but he knows when he comes home, I'll see the credit card bill, and it's just not an option.
For those of you who may not have heard it in the interwebs, the advice was, you're in charge, and you, Lord knows you do have a small window of opportunity. You know, they're real cute when they're 5. And then they get opinions. So absolutely. I mean, do you think that's something you could do? And it would, and perhaps maybe doing this for your child is something you would do for your child and they'll spill over to doing it for yourself.
Yeah, the biggest thing is, like, my husband's like, well, I'm just gonna eat whatever.
Oh, the spouse.
Yeah. My
The
experience, and I will not shame my lovely mate, but my experience is that spouses take about 6 months. The trailing spouse takes about 6 months. They need to say, okay, first of all,
6
you're
to
not
12. 6 to 12.
6 to 12. Okay, so give your trailing spouse a little bit of time to see you're not going to keel over, and it's really nice to know that that's their bar. That's the threshold. Oh, you're not dead yet. Okay, so I can, you know, and maybe you start to feel better, you start to look better, your mood gets improved a little bit, you have more energy than they do, you start to look good to other people. It happens. So, you know, work on your kids and yourself, and your spouse will trail.
Okay.
That's my experience anyway.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much for sharing. That's a great
You know, another thought that comes to mind, and that is acne. Acne is from sugar. So if you really want to have a teenager motivated.
Can you say that again? Acne is from sugar.
Acne is from sugar. Yes.
And I know you follow research. You don't just say that blindly.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
There are cultures who don't eat sugar around the world, and they have no acne in their adolescent children.
I didn't. Did anybody here know that? You know what? I always heard it was from grease, from eating greasy food.
And getting fat is from fat too.
Dude.
No, but it's a myth. Right? We all were taught the wrong thing.
No, that is so frustrating. Here's another thing that you said a couple of meetings ago that I didn't know, and I keep hearing about it still. Skin tags. Skin tags are a symptom of insulin resistance. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Did anybody here know that? Skin tags, which are vexing to say the least. I mean, that's really an attractive thing. Little puzzles of flesh sticking out from your body. Who needs that?
I just had a clarifying question about what you just spoke about.
Come on up.
You want to come up and share? We have a clarifying question coming in.
I wasn't going to share. My name's I broke.
No, you didn't. Come this way, this way, this way, this way, this way, this way, this way. Done.
Hello, everybody. My name is Julia Rucci, and I've been a patient of Dr. Westman's for about 3 months. I started back in March, and I want to thank all of you for the Facebook group and for coming to these support meetings and teaching those of us who are new about it by living it and being our examples. I was a person who was horribly addicted to sugar and had pretty dramatic weight loss very quickly. And now I'm in the phase that is probably just normal weight loss. My question is, I know that we've talked about it, but I might not have asked it specifically. Is it correct that I don't ever need to think about how many calories I consume? I don't have to get to a minimum of 1,000 calories a day, or because when I eat this way, I find I've been tracking it a little bit to make sure I track my carbs. And there are days where I only eat about 800 to 900 calories, but I'm not hungry. So should I be worried to get above 1,000 or just be like a lion cub and let it go? I just wanted to double check on that. So.
I'll be the lion cub dad. You have to have your calories today.
I'm not hungry.
So one of the things, there are a lot of the science and the practice is from studies that are in the practice of people who eat carbs. So if you're eating carbs and you lowered it to 1,000 calories a day, and you're eating carbs, then that's going to minimize the protein you eat, and you'll actually not get enough protein. But if all of your calories are coming from protein and fat, you're going to have sufficient protein, and this calorie limit or minimum amount just doesn't apply.
Okay.
And that is a great point, because especially if you're sedentary, you're older, and you're thinking that you're eating a lot, put all your stuff in a calorie counter, myfitnesspal.com, and just see how many calories you're having. You may be surprised at how many you're having, especially if you're having lots of cream, cheese, mayonnaise, oils. There's a lot of calories in there. So while I don't want you to worry about calories, too many, I don't want you to worry about too few. I'll draw the line that I want you to eat something every day until there's more data on long-term fasting. I think there's a lot more data on eating protein every day in the low-carb, high-fat world, and I know you're not going to be using your muscle mass. And the thing we don't know about long-term total fasting is what happens with new monitoring, new procedures. They're old information that we hear about. If you're monitoring your own muscle mass, then you know that it's staying fine. Some people come to me with their CAT scan readings and DEXAs and all that from somewhere, and if you're monitoring it, it's okay, then I don't mind long-term fasting. But if you're going to rely on my judgment about it, I'll say I do want you to have something every day, but don't worry about how much you're having.
It's just, I've never eaten because I was hungry my whole life, so hunger is a new thing to me, and I find that I'm just not that hungry eating this way. If you choose your own goals on MyFitnessPal, it will tell me, it'll pop up and say, remember, your goal is 20 carbs a day, so I'm not looking at the calories, but you have to adjust some things. And if you're not a patient of Dr. Westman's, something really fun that happens, the last time I was at his office, I had hit over the 50-pound mark. And if you don't know, he actually plays the piano and sings to you when you lose 50 pounds. So he and the visiting doctors sang, and another patient and I sang along. And it was absolutely fantastic. And I'm just waiting to see
wise men say.
Right, that is. It was an old Elvis song, and I have an idea about what happens at 100 pounds, but it's going to take me a while to find out for sure.
You know what that's going to be? Roy, come on up.
Roy is here!
Roy.
Oh, there he is!
So, at 100 pounds, you get a song and a dance.
A dance, that's what I heard. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Come on, Roy. a rare treat.
I thought you were going to strip at 100 pounds. I mean, but that would not be.
No,
That would be inappropriate.
not in the clinic. So this is the nurse who's worked with me for a few years.
8 years.
8 years. And thank you for coming out tonight.
I appreciate the clap, but I got claps for you all. Because y'all deserve it. We really appreciate you sticking to the program or trying the program because it really works. It works both physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, all of the above. Medically, everything improves. Everything improves, and it improves with time. Don't worry about how much you lose. Don't come in no more telling me I should have lost this much. As long as you
No one ever says that.
I don't tell you. But we are really grateful to put this program out here. And I am totally grateful working with Dr. Westman because I know that it worked. I'm a product of it. And if I talk the talk, I'm walking the walk.
Thank you. And I will share, if you don't mind, Roy, you know, people say, I can't do that because, you know, because I work at Panera, or I can't do that because I work in a convenience store. Can you please share, Roy, what business you owned prior to this?
Well, I owned a bakery for 15 years. And once I started working with Dr. Westman, I had to pray about it because it was very rewarding when I decided that I was going to stick with Dr. Westman. I gave up my bakery because, number one, I was part of the problem. And now with Dr. Westman being at his side, I'm part of the solution.
Thank you, Roy. Thank you very much. Great. That's one of the greatest stories ever. You sell your business because you don't want to be part of the problem. A little tiny thing, my husband and I owned a little farm. We owned a little farm in Colombia, South America. We ripped out all the sugar and planted coffee and avocado. It really does feel good to be part of that. So that it really is good. Anybody can do it. If you can sell your business because it's the better thing to do, anybody can do it. Is there anyone who would like to come up and share that has not had a chance to do so yet? Any takers, any takers, any takers? Does anybody have a question? Maybe you don't want to come up. Oh.
Hello, everybody. So I did what probably a lot of new people did and joined like 20 Facebook groups. I learned very quickly that they're all very different. They all have very different approaches. And there are a few of them out there that promote like a weekly carb up where you eat like half a sweet potato, you know, not bad carb, well, not sugary carbs. What are your thoughts and take on that?
So why do they recommend a weekly carb up?
It was for women, and it was, I don't really know the science behind it.
Neither do I.
Yeah. Okay, good.
I think there are programs that need to sell themselves by making you think you'll get things that you're deprived from. Or so if you'll be more likely to buy a book that says you can have a potato once a week than buying a book that says you can't ever have potatoes again because of the fear of all that not having potatoes. So our understanding of ketosis, of fat burning, is that it's a fairly fragile state so that can be swamped by carbohydrates. Depending on your metabolism, the younger you are, the more flexible you are. The older you are, the less flexible. The more diabetes you have, the less flexible you are. So that once you get into the fat burning state, you really want to stay there. So it's, the way I explain it, it's kind of like you just hired all these factory workers to help you burn fat. Factory workers burning fat. And now here comes some potato, some carbohydrate. Well, you got to fire all these factory workers and get new factory workers to burn the carbohydrates. And in some people that will stop it for a week, for 2 weeks. And that knowledge is new because we're studying it now. So some people are knocked out of ketosis for 2 weeks with just one hit of carbs. So part of it is that it depends on your metabolism. If you have diabetes or you have a very difficult metabolism, I'd say don't do a potato once a week or however often they allow it. It makes no sense. I have seen it talk about a reset, reboot, and all this. I don't know. So one thing that can happen is kind of a scam, is that if you eat a potato and you gain water weight, it'll seem like you have more weight, and then you are just getting rid of the water weight. This is why some doctors use fluid pills for weight loss, because you'll get 10 pounds of water loss, but it's really not an effective fat loss kind of program. So I don't know. And the other thing without science is you might do something like the eclipse comes. So the moon is in front of the sun and the sky is dark. And you clap or you beat the drums, and then the eclipse is gone. But it was the drum beating that made the moon go away from the sun. So this is the classic fallacy of after it, because of it. So it may have nothing to do with what you did, and just the passage of time is what made it work better for you. Now, I'd be really interested if you came in with nothing worked, and when I started doing this once a week, everything started to work for me. Is that your experience?
No.
Oh, okay. Because I'll have people then come in and say, well, it's worked for me. Partly it depends on your metabolism. Now, there's some books that get away with saying this stuff because if you don't have insulin resistance, you can do lots of things. You can do a low-fat diet that's low-calorie and do really well. So that's why it's confusing. We call that Weight Watchers, where you can have all the fruit you want now, and it works for some people, but it doesn't work for a lot of people. So I don't know where that comes from physiologically, but I'd like to learn about it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Do you have a personal,
Oh, many hands, but yes, Thorlin.
I've been having a hard time finding foods that are higher fat but medium to low protein, because my protein levels just go through the roof throughout the day because I'm looking for healthy fats to go along with it. But besides something like avocados or anything.
Okay, the question is how to find high fat but lower or moderate protein foods.
Yeah, so why do you want to do that?
Well, just because, when I look at sort of the levels of what my protein should be versus, and looking at it in terms of percentages.
Yeah, percentages.
I know exactly the
macro
don't say
percent?
that word. I hate that word.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Who taught you that?
Well, it's in, I've read
me.
on keto, and they all list, should be, 5%.
He's talking about the
so and so and so and so.
And so in my clinical practice, I don't have people check their macros or try to get to a certain percent of fat or percent of protein. This is a construct of the how you maximize ketosis. And when someone's trying to lose weight, which is the reason most people come to see me, I don't have anyone worry about that at all. So and for me, getting someone to get started and making it as simple as possible is the key. So now if you want to measure all that stuff, I've had people do it. They alter their macros. I think it's going to depend on the person. So you may have to do that homework all yourself. Put it out there and do your ketone levels and the weight loss. And I don't think we can say there's a perfect number for the macros. But I can say that I don't have any of my patients calculating their macros, and they do great.
Okay, super.
Very good. And
so I don't know where to get higher fatty foods.
Well, no, I mean, if it's not a high concern, then I won't worry about it.
Yeah. So
here's mathematically, here's where I can know this, because there's the pie chart. Everyone has seen the pie chart, right? 5% carbs, 20% protein, 75% fat. And many.
It looks really neat.
It looks awesome. And my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, is that this pie chart came as a result of research when there were people being tested with different dietary protocols. And this is what the folks ended up eating when kind of given their own devices, either a low fat, low carb, high pro, whatever. And the ones that did the best, this is what they ended up eating when actually just given free choice. But if you take it mathematically and you say, okay, all I have to do is keep 5% carbs, 20% protein, 75% fat. That means I can eat 7,000 calories a day. And as long as my carbs are only 5% of that, I should be good, right? No, I shouldn't, because that might end up being 400 grams of carb. So it's not percentage, my understanding. It's not percentages. Keep your grams of carbohydrate total. The mic was so upset by the use of the word macros that it jumped out of my hand. Keep your carbs 20 or below. Eat fatty sources of protein. Eat the protein that comes with its naturally occurring fat. Chicken with the skin. Not filet mignon. Get the chuck roast. Get a ribeye. Have some avocado, some eggs with the yolk. Bacon with the fat. Pork chop with the fat. Lamb with the fat. Fat. But just with the protein. And then eat when you're hungry and stop when you're full. And those ratios work out magically by themselves. I can tell you that I never tracked them because he never used the M word. He said, keep your carbs 20 or lower, eat, this size of non-starchy vegetables and this size of leafy vegetables, and eat when you're hungry and stop when you're full.
That was 1 cup.
That was 1 cup, yeah. Essentially, yeah, he wasn't doing like this. About the size of your fist of non-starchy vegetables and about 2 fist sizes, not fistfuls, of leafy vegetables.
Leafy greens.
Leafy greens. Eat when you're hungry, stop when you're full. And what I did when I went back and looked, guess what the pie chart looked like? A little bit of carbs, mostly fat, and the rest protein. And it magically works out. So, and then people will ask, how many grams of protein should I eat? How many grams of fat? I get my fat in today. I got to the end and my fitness pal says, I need 200 more grams of fat or another 300 calories. Yes, sir, Jim, want to come up?
You can't forget that it's not necessarily dietary fat, it's your body fat that your body is consuming. So if you don't feel like you've gotten enough fat in your diet for the day, just let your body, you've got to carrying quite a few pounds of fuel.
Yes, every fat calorie you eat is a fat calorie you don't burn off your body. Actually, I find it's kind of funny. I have to teach people in their minds to, the less you eat, the more you lose. As if this is some rocket science. No, the whole point is to get you to eat less, not to eat more. So that was an interesting thing about my fitness pal. You don't have to eat up. You don't have to get 20 carbs a day. You don't have to get X amount of protein grams or fat grams. And it doesn't have to be every day the same. I mean, what are we? Just kind of like petri dishes that we infuse glucose on every day? And no, we're living beings that actually can interchange all of this energy. So that was our whole diatribe on don't calculate the macros.
Don't worry about it. Well, and the way I think about it, because I had a couple of people around me concerned that I was not eating enough calories to sustain life. I was not on a slab when they said it. I was actually still alive. But they were concerned about it. And my fitness pal is sure I'm going to die every day. Every day. When I
start screaming at
yes,
you.
you're going to die soon. But here's how I started thinking of it, is that my body is eating the number of calories it needs. There's the calories here, and then there's the calories down here, or here, wherever else it might be coming from. So, like Jimmy says, your thighs, your body will get the energy it needs, and so we make it so difficult. I guess it's just human nature.
How often do lions eat?
Sometimes just on the savannah, just once a week. Does anyone have anything? Yes, sir. Come on up. Come on down.
Please meet you. My name is Dave. I'm one of the trailing spouses.
How many months behind?
Probably 3 months behind.
You're advanced.
I've been on this now for about 2 months, and I've lost 15 pounds.
Great.
And I'm happy with that. Now, but I have a question about the ketosis. So you mentioned, hey, you know, if you slip and you eat something that knocks you out of ketosis for maybe a long period of time. So I wonder, how important is it to be in ketosis if you're slowly losing the actual physiology of the ketosis? Is that important? Or how important is it?
Yeah, that's a great question. So don't go yet. Okay. So do you have to be in ketosis? Well, this gets into the question, what is ketosis? How do you measure it? Well, we used to measure ketosis by if your hunger was gone, your weight is going down, or your inches go down, you're feeling well, the hunger's gone. Then urine ketones came out. And so everyone's checking urine ketones, but not everyone shows urine ketones. But they're still losing weight. But so the urine isn't perfect. And now the blood tests come out, and there's a book that has a graph that we assume is perfect. And I see people who are outside that perfect graph who are losing weight, but they're not in ketosis by the blood measurement. Oh, but that's okay, because the breath measurement came out. And now the breath measurement, so these all actually measure different molecules even. And so don't worry about ketosis. Now until new research comes out, and there is research going on now looking at levels of ketones, looking at outcomes like the brain activity, looking at pretty basic science stuff in animals at the moment. But there may come a time when we say, well, having a ketone level of X is better than not. But we're not there yet. So in the clinical use, to make things simple as possible, I don't have people measure ketones. If someone comes in, like happened today, I'm only at 0.3, I'm only at 0.3 in the blood, and if you're not used to measuring the blood, you have to be between 1 and 2 or 1 and 3. No, it was working. And so the whole point of the visit was relieving this person of worry about the blood ketone level, which wasn't as high as it's supposed to be, because, well, so we're basically, it's like the early precincts in an election. The research is just now starting to study this, and we're going to have a whole lot more information about what is normal ketosis, what is normal weight loss, what is the benefit of having more ketones or less. Soon, we hope, but currently, I wouldn't worry about it. And I don't know if you have to be in ketosis, because I don't know really what ketosis means. In terms of a number. Well, it means fat burning.
Yeah, sure.
So it just means.
And I'm losing fat, and I've dropped a pant size, which is good for me, and the weight, and I feel good. I'm not hungry.
So the only thing you need to know is that you may end up in the doctor's care, and they might check a blood test, and it might show that you have high ketones, and they'll come out and they'll run to you and say, "Are you okay?" And you'll just say, "I'm on a low carb keto," or "I'm on a keto diet," and that should reassure them. I've had that happen even with diabetics. People have diabetes, and the ketone level, and the doctors freak out because they think the person has to be sick, but it's just because they're not eating carbohydrates. So you may have to explain that to the doctor.
I try and stay away from doctors.
Try to stay away from doctors. That's okay. I just pretend to be I play one on.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for the question.
Thank you for sharing. That actually comes up a lot, and there's a lot of controversy between being in ketosis and being fat adapted, which I still don't understand the nuance between that, but it's something that's all over the interwebs.
Well, so just to kind of explain why there's confusion is that, like, if you have a level of water in a lake in front of a dam, okay, so you have, think of that as it could be your blood sugar level, it could be your ketone level. So you have a level of water, but there's a dam, and you don't know how much water is going through the dam. So in terms of glucose, when you're a carb eater, your glucose level is like this, and there's all this water going through the dam, very turbulent, and that turbulence is what creates the problem, not the level of the glucose. So now the glucose level might be, I had someone come in today worried about the blood glucose being 105. Being in ketosis for a long time, the blood sugar is 105, which means it's just a little higher than, quote, normal for carb eaters. And I explained that, your throughput of the water through the dam has gone way down. Don't worry about a blood glucose of 105 when you're in ketosis. Now, likewise, with ketones, if your ketones are 0.5, and you're burning lots of ketones, they're going through the dam like this, 0.5 says, well, you're burning ketones, and it doesn't have to be 1. So always think about the level doesn't tell you the amount going through the system, which is really what is causing the underlying damage. Does that make sense?
Not to me, but I'm sure it makes sense to everyone else. Yes, ma'am.
I have a random question that's somewhat of a change.
You want to come up? Yeah, okay.
Did this make sense, John? No? Anybody?
Oh, you're such suck-ups, I swear.
I know who the real sucks.
It's my understanding that the low carb, high fat is good for brain health. And, the prevention may be too many carbs over a period of time. So with that, my random thought is there any science about ketogenic diet for stroke recovery?
And the question is a ketogenic diet for stroke recovery, because there's evidence that it does improve brain health overall, dementia and everything else.
Yeah. So Alzheimer's is described as type 3 diabetes, meaning it's a blood sugar issue. Not the Alzheimer's field doesn't necessarily all agree about that. The early research now being done in animals on Alzheimer's with ketogenic diets is very interesting, and it's very supportive and suggestive. It's still very preliminary because it's not done in humans yet. So I'm one of these researchers that waits until there's enough evidence in humans, like a drug, to be able to confidently say the ketogenic diet will help prevent Alzheimer's. Hasn't been done. I can't say that. But the early research is suggesting that it would be helpful. And of course, compared to 10 years ago, when everyone said this would kill you, it's huge. It's a big shift. So the pendulum has come at least here. In post-stroke recovery, I don't know of any specific human studies that are done. There is some suggestion that the ketones may be helpful there.
It would not be a dangerous thing.
Would it be dangerous for someone who's post-stroke? I don't think so, but I don't know for sure. It reminds me of the studies with the heart attacks. Everyone thought that you just push more sugar into the heart during a heart attack and the heart will do better. Well, it actually made things worse. So there's this expectation that pushing more sugar in a cell is going to make it better. Well, not necessarily. And so actually those studies were done in humans having heart attacks, pushing more glucose into the heart muscle, and it didn't help things. So it makes me want to wait until there's evidence in people to know, but it's very possible that having more ketones would be helpful.
I knew that was an out there question.
Yeah.
I figured you would be the person there.
Yeah, so it's not ready for prime time yet, but very interesting. That's the other interesting about the internet, is you can watch the same presentation I saw at a conference, research conference, and you can come and talk to me about it, where 10 years ago, I would be the one pontificating about the science and what I saw at this meeting. And so that's nice. I like the idea that you're watching the same level of the science, but you have to be honest that it's not to the level of prescribing a drug by any means. And I really like to wait for that.
Yes, ma'am.
I just have a question. My oldest son is a vegetarian. How can he partake?
So my oldest son is a vegetarian.
So is hers.
No, that was her question, or her comment. Of course, I would ask, why?
That's choice. He grew up eating meat.
How old is he?
36.
Oh, well, so.
Okay, so yeah, one of my teenage daughters became vegetarian. It was a trendy thing to do in Chapel Hill, right? Bacon cheeseburgers brought her back to the meat-eating world. So there's an interesting book called The Vegetarian Myth. Now, it all depends on, are you just trying to help them do lower carb vegetarian? Or are you trying to make them think about things more rationally. The book called The Vegetarian Myth, it opened my eyes to the different types of vegetarians and how the idea that if you thought you were going to save the world by eating a vegetarian, this is called a diet for a small planet, that is just totally nonsense. So that's the old granola hippie thing that become vegan and the world would be saved, you know. But if you want to do vegetarian low carb, you can do that very easily. So I had one patient from Chapel Hill, college student. She was a vegetarian. And I took her history. She was having Skittles, candy, and she was doing kind of a junk food candy vegetarian diet. And so that would be my first thing. You know, what is he really eating? And if he really wants to get protein from vegetable sources, that's fine. You just have to make sure you're getting complete proteins. A doctor friend of mine at Duke became vitamin deficient when the doctor did a vegan diet without thinking about the vitamins, without taking extra B12. So she started running. I can't run as far. It turned out that she had anemia because she wasn't getting enough nutrition. So this is a very educated person doing something that's just not nutritionally sound. But that's vegan, which is that's bizarre. If a vegetarian has eggs, I'm more comfortable with complete proteins because I think eggs are the perfect food nutritionally.
What can you do with an egg?
You can make an entire chicken out of an egg.
That's so exciting.
I've said that a few times. So.
I've watched it often. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and you watch the egg be laid.
Well, please. Let's have a little dice.
So, a hen's egg.
I don't know you like
It's an
that.
amazing machine. So, did I evade your question?
Yeah, she said, yeah, you evaded it pretty well. Going back to the question of post-stroke, eating ketogenic, but it won't hurt, and we do need to wrap up here in a few minutes. This comes up a lot. Gallbladder, no gallbladder,
No
thyroid, no thyroid, hypothyroid, hyperthyroid,
Fine.
one kidney,
It's fine.
rotten brother-in-law. I mean, is there
I
any,
don't know.
is
That's
there
a deal
any-
breaker.
Can you think of a condition under which the ketogenic diet is not recommended or would be harmful?
Well, keep in mind, a ketogenic diet is getting nutrition from proteins and fats. It's just taking away carbohydrates, which are not essential, meaning you don't have to eat them. And so your primary fuel becomes fat. Fat and ketones. Ketones go up, that's why you call it a ketogenic diet. So there's a kind of an allergy to it in the medical world because they think of it as something weird and different and ketoacidosis, which is what it's not. But the only time I can think of special considerations of a ketogenic diet are when you're transitioning from carb eating to not carb eating. You might be on medications to worry about that. Or if you have conditions that could be exacerbated by changes in the ketone levels. So you might get a gout flare when you're transitioning to keto diet, but at the end of the day, the cause of the gout is actually the carbs creating the inflammation. You have to get over that hurdle, then you won't have the gout. There are conditions where if you don't have much urine flow, you may be more susceptible to kidney stone. So I might tell people to have more, make sure they have lots of fluid when they're transitioning to reduce the chances of a kidney stone. There's actually a special supplement, potassium citrate, that can be taken to reduce the chance of having a kidney stone. If you ever had one, you wouldn't want a second one. Potassium citrate, yeah, it's a supplement. There's several brand names for that one. But other than that, I've heard that children are born in ketosis. Why would we think that that's harmful?
That's deep. Yes, ma'am.
I have a quick question. I'm a big wrestler. I want to know the use of coconut flour and almond flour. Is that
Can you use coconut flour and almond flour?
You certainly can. There's no law against it.
However,
here's kind of my take. don't blame the ketogenic diet on what the net carbs did. Don't blame the ketogenic diet on what the almond flour did, or the coconut flour did, or the carb update did. You absolutely can, and I know that there are people that are successful, but then they may maybe stop being successful. Just keep in mind that they're really not a fatty source of protein or an allowed fat. You know, and nuts, while they're delicious, are not carb-free. They're not calorie-free. They might be healthy fats, but they're really condensed. So if you're taking a really fatty, condensed source like an almond, or a pound of them, and you're making them into a pound of flour, that's a lot of fat and calories and nutrition, no doubt. But the other thing that I think about is, and this takes a while, it took me a while personally to get over the point at which I wanted to make fake versions of the foods that got me here in the first place. So many of them are emotionally triggered. I can tell you to this day, if I see tequila and mashed cauliflower, it's a problem, you know, because I had the mashed potato thing. You just have to find what your level is. But if you say, you know, some people say, I don't know, I'm doing everything right. I'm really good. I'm even getting exercise in, and I'm getting in 20 net carbs a day. And I don't understand why I'm not losing body fat. I think your answer is in your question. Just ask yourself the question. And sometimes it'll work for a while, and then you have to start tweaking. Because ultimately your energy needs, I don't even like to use the C word. I got a whole bunch of words I don't want to use any more. Your energy needs will tell you what you need to do. So some days you need to eat more, and some days you need to eat less, which is why they eat only when you're hungry and stop when you're satiated. Because one day a week, that lion is eating an entire gazelle, you know? And I don't think they have squirrels on the savannah in Africa, but maybe one day they're eating a squirrel. So
I don't think so.
I don't think they do have squirrels. Warthog. So
I have a different answer.
okay, it might even be as good as mine.
Just different. Net carbs is like the over-the-counter medicine for pain. It can work for some people, but if you have a real strong pain, or you're going to the doctor to get pain relief, I'm going to use something stronger, and that's using total carbs. So net carbs isn't wrong. It's in general just less powerful. And so in my clinic, when someone comes to me, this is what I hear. I've tried everything, nothing works, and you know, I have to make it work the first time. I mean, I have one chance to make it work. It's 20 carbs or less. There's no almond flour, no coconut flour. Stay to this. I'm never really this angry, but I'm really very polite. But I make it, you know, you can't, what's the comments is, if it's not on page 4, you can't have it. And I'll say it 3 or 4 times, and then before I change to page 5, I'll say, and remember, page 4, if it's not on here, you can't have it. And someone says, can I have almond flour? I'll look on page 4 very, very politely, and no. What about the coconut flour? No, because I see the worst of the worst metabolic people, and page 4 is going to work. And even some people will come in, I did it, and then they come to a class and learn it, and well, I didn't know that there's something that it doesn't get taught when you get taught through the internet or through someone who doesn't know whether the relative importance of different things are. So I've had a lot of people worry about getting fat in the diet, getting a macro, when what happened is that then they were having too many calories. So having too much oil, bulletproof coffee, 5 servings of it a day, and they're having 500, 600 calories of oil. So all of that can matter. So I would say it's not on page 4.
I don't often say this. That over-the-counter drug, and you know what? That was a really good analogy you made. And I do not often say that.
Can I write? What day
Write
is
it down. He made a really good analogy.
Casey said it
was a good. Okay, so we are winding down, but
I was going to say, when I was here in May and found out I wasn't supposed to be eating almond flour, coconut flour, that turned that was the whole turn there. And I lost 15 pounds since then, and I think
So in 2 months, you've lost 15 pounds. And to share the comment, you want to come up and share it? So she was here in May, and you became an internet sensation, actually. You were all over the interwebs.
I've become a regular. Anyway, in May, when I was here for the support group, you asked me what I was eating, and I said I made bread out of almond flour and coconut flour, and everybody went, whoa!
Like that was risky.
Yeah. And when I said I drank wine, you said, whoa.
There
Anyway,
was less of a buzz there.
I cut out the coconut flour. I cut out the almond flour. I haven't had any since April. I have been able to add that wine, though. It doesn't affect me, just in moderation. So that was the key that turned the trick for me, because I had been stuck over 180 pounds. I could not break the 180 barrier. Now I'm trying to break the 170.
In weight loss, we call that a new decade. Okay, it is. Do you have anything?
Well, so that was going from net carbs to total carbs.
Essentially.
Yeah, because we assume the fiber isn't absorbed when we use the net carb calculation. And a lot of people absorb the fiber or the sugar alcohols have impact on metabolism. And a lot of companies use that to make their products look more desirable, because everyone wants a lower number. And so just look at the total carbs on the label, not the net, or just don't have the almond or any nut flour. Just has too many carbs.
It's got too many carbs. That's kind of what it is. You guys, this was a great session. We didn't get to everybody. You'll have to come back again. This was really awesome. So thank you for showing
Next time, the first Tuesday of the month.
The first Tuesday of the month, next month. And actually, we will both be having come back you're going to San Diego. Low Carb USA?
Oh, yes.
Yes, we're going to Low Carb USA, not together. But we are going, and I'm really looking forward to it. And this is the largest low carb conference in the United States, second year, and it's huge. And there will be a lot of good science. There are a lot of good lectures, so it's going to be really exciting. But there will be the second Tuesday of the month. HealClinics.com. It's a really good program. It's how to treat obesity and diabetes without medications. There's a medical portion, non-medical. It is really worthwhile. Full disclosure, my husband and I are investors, but we were before Dr. Westman knew who we were. We did any of this. We believe in putting our health where our money where our health is. So it's a great endeavor to help get more medical providers who understand how to treat these very important conditions without medications or injections or potions or powders or anything like that. Thank you guys for showing up. We'll be wrangling around here, and you guys can, I'll volunteer Dr. Westman's time for a few more minutes after the cameras go off. Thanks a lot. This was great.